Hey everybody, Joe at St. Cycle Works. What we're doing is putting together a 1953 104 engine. It's a single port Vespa Allstate engine, and it's really unique because these engines don't have the bearing here and retainer in the case. They have them on the main shaft. And it's a really difficult assembly to try to put all together. And the reason being is that you've got to line up these teeth with here. You've got to line up this notch with the spring right here. And then this one eventually has to line up with the bolt that keeps this thing from spinning. Now the key is to have this very clean and lubricated and have it already pre-fit into this hole so that you know that it can come in and out. Because this has got to be a perfect slip fit. If you're binding up at all, it's going to be a disaster. And the reason why it's difficult is because this spring has to be under tension for it to ratchet into these teeth. That's why you get that spring tension where the pedal comes back up. So I don't know how anybody else goes about doing it, but you know, I've tried 1,000 different ways, and this is the only way that I've come up with that seems to make any sense. If there's a special tool or something that I don't know about, boy, would I like to know about it. But maybe this will be helpful to anyone else that's doing it, or you can just see why sometimes, you know, when we bill out hours for these and we build one of these motors, why these ones take us a little bit longer than just a P200 engine that just flies together. This is all about alignment. I don't think they really figured out the best way to go about it yet. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to line this this notch right here up with the spring. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the spring up a little bit higher so it makes it a little bit easier for me to get it started. And this is going to be just one motion. I've got to get this lined up with there, and as soon as I do that, I'm going to pull the Kickstarter a little bit and try to get it to line up with this, and hopefully the whole thing just drops down into place. If not, there's not a whole lot of point fighting it. You just take it back apart, re-index your spring, and try again. So here we go. And there you have it. Okay, so now the main shaft is in. What we don't have is the bolt lined up on the back side. So now what we're going to do is rotate the whole assembly around until we see it line up with the bolt. And once that bolt's in, then the correct spring tension will be on the shaft. Thanks for watching. Bye now. Okay, so now we've got the main shaft inside the case half, and we've got the crankshaft in there. So this actually has to get pulled that way, and this one has to get pulled this way, and while trying to mate the gears all together. So we'll see what we can do there. A lot of different types of assembly libs you can use. And stuff in the gearbox. I like using this Lucas oil stabilizer because it's pretty much a big bottle of zinc. And zinc is very good, and it breaks down, and it'll go well with gearbox oil. So I don't really like using grease or even Vaseline, because even Vaseline won't break down. I take them apart afterwards and it's still just pooled up in there. But the Lucas will actually mix with it well. And I never use any kind of like heavy thick grease or anything, because that never breaks down in there, and it just contaminates your clutch plates and everything else. And this stuff does a really good job actually sticking to the gears instead of dripping off. Now when you go to put this in, there's going to be one spot on this shaft here. Right there, that flat spot. That's for it to slide past the cush drive ring gear. Okay, so now we're past the first bearing. So now what we're going to have to do, there's three things that are going to be going on. We've got to pull this crankshaft onto the bearing here, press fit. We've got to make sure the gears all align here and mate with the Christmas tree over here. And then finally, we've got to pull it through this next bearing here.